This morning's morning medicine is Apium Graveolens, which is common celery. Before I do that, though, I'm going to talk about my wife's legs. You know, the pain she's been having. Oh, she got nice legs. I got to quit that. I will get myself all worked up. Um, but she got a bump on the one foot, and the doctors, they called the doctors in and said, my wife said, I said, what did he say? She said, I don't know. There was, I don't know what the diagnosis was. I don't think there was one, but she said she called a bunch of other doctors in and said, hey, take a look at this. And they might have been want to look at her legs too. She's a cute little thing. Um, but she got that bump on her foot, and they want to, they were all looking there. I don't think they ever determined what it was. They didn't even give her medicine. I don't know, but it's so painful for her. I used to not be able to touch it, and I gave a bunch of different medicines. I'm looking. Calcarb seemed to help the pain in her legs. Uh, but yeah, when she walks, they ache a lot. So I've tried everything, Now the last one, I've given her calcarb. Oh my legs feel better. I thought maybe she just needs magnesium, but that bump on her foot, I cannot. The only one I find is what I give her, Mag Foss. Now my mentor, Robin Murphy, he would say, I'm reading all his case taking stuff and that, and he said we don't stick with the medicine long enough. So I'm wondering if, I got to go back through some of them, but I gave her phosphoric acid. So phosphoric acid. Now usually she'll even come in, like if I wake up in the middle of the night, she'll come in and throw her legs at me and say, rub my legs. And I'm telling you, I got to go real deep, man. It's a good thing I got strong hands from holding them machines all them years, because man, I really got to push. It can tire your thumbs in that out. So I finally realized, okay, it's the peristeum, which is the sheath and all the inner stuff, that's bugging her. So when I do that shiatsu, it relieves it, not, it always comes back. So I gave her phosphoric acid. Now, how did I come to that? That was one of the medicines, but what the big keynote was, loves bubbly, whether it's soda pops, bubbly water, I think is the way they put it. And she loves soda pop. She drinks a lot. Now, my son drinks a lot too, both of them. Now, is that a habit they picked up from her, or is that a constitutional remedy that's needed to peel off a layer of, what's going on with them? It gets passed down genetically. So I don't know. I'm speculating all that, but yeah. So phosphoric acid loves bubbly sodas, and of course it had a lot of the other symptoms that was in her. The peristeum, that was the main thing. Is deep peristeum, aching pain in there. Still didn't get to the bump. So what am I focusing on? I was focusing on the bump, the bump. Try to get rid of that bump. Now I'm I started thinking it's coming from gout, from, sugar, too much acidity in the body. And that's, the soda pop and the food she eats will cause her to be, acidic, like pancakes and, sugar and more sugar and no greens. I drink lemon water every day. I just take a lemon, cut it in half, squeeze it, throw the whole thing in there. And I'll drink lemon water that way, purify the water and drink that. Um, that neutralizes the acids in your body. So, anyways, she, she hasn't come in and said, "Hey, rub my legs." Oh, you got to rub my legs; they're killing me. She hasn't come in and, or I haven't gone in and had to do it. Like if I go near her, she's oh, you rub my legs. I don't mind, but lately it hasn't been that way, and I've been able to get closer to her foot. She would, like, if I took, rub her legs and go down to her foot, oh man, she pulled that foot away like, no you don't. Now I'm touching it, and she wouldn't even let me feel the bump, like, softly, and say, what's going, she was, so now I can touch it. So we'll see if the phosphoric acid is um, the right remedy. So these guys, these older homeopaths, same thing. And I know a lot of homeopaths go through that. And I see some of them saying, oh, their confidence isn't great. How do you keep your confidence? How do you keep all that stuff together? Because you give a medicine, it's that's not working. What but if you have the ability to try a couple different medicines until you hit that right one, and then there's a magic result. Now, some cases come in and you'll hit it and it's like boom, clears right up. You feel like a hero. You feel like Superman. And some of them, like my wife's foot and legs aching like that, you try medicine, you try this medicine, and I think the whole problem comes down to is instead of an unprejudiced observer, I'm putting in, oh, what is it? Is she got the gout? No, that's not gout. Okay, she's got the lump on her foot in the middle. Is that, tendons? That's the first thing, tendons. So I'm not just looking at the case, and that's why you look at the whole case of the person, because something within that case will lead you to the right medicine. Like I said, if a guy got cancer on the ear, like that Indian doctor did, and you're just looking at the cancer, well, how am I going to get the cancer, and you trying all these remedies for cancer, the target was the stomach, and that's why, what's the worst symptom, and with my wife, I'd say, what's it feel like? And all I get is aching. I don't get a burning, a stinging, a stabbing, a throbbing, a pounding, nothing to lead me to certain medicines, but an aching. So what do you do with aching? So now I've got to check that all out. And so you got to be an unprejudiced observer. Now, an observer, I would have said, she's drinking soda pop. Now, I did give phosphorus, and phosphorus is related to phosphoric acid. If phosphorus doesn't work, go to phosphoric acid, So we're going to see if it holds. If not, you just continue. You go looking at it, and the problem too is I can't get a case out of her, and so what I have to do is be an observer. So I observe what she likes to eat. I observe her mannerisms are. I asked her the other day, I said, hey, stick out your tongue. See if that's mapped or what's going on there. You look at their eyes, you look at their facial expressions, they have nausea. What's going on with them? Diarrhea. Stools. What color's your stools? These kind of things help you to see a whole picture so that when you do go in, you can say, I'm not getting enough. And you usually want at least three. But when you hit the jackpot, man, there's a lot. So right now I've got the pain in the legs, deep in the bones, with loves soda pop, and that's in a bold black dark thing. Loves bubbly water, and that's probably because it's got the phosphoric acid in it. So somebody's desiring to take in phosphoric acid. There's a deficiency, just like anybody that wants sugar. There's a deficiency. Something going on. They've got cancer developing. That cancer says, feed me sugar, buddy. You cut out the sugar, it stars, it don't have that craving there. Them bacteria, the bad stuff will say, give me the sugar, So she's wanting phosphoric acid. And that's why they say, do they like sweets? Do they like sour? Do they like, whatever else? So, all right, what do I got? I just wanted to, you know, kind of go over. I can only do so much with the book. Like yesterday's Apis Mellifica, honeybee. Did I do it a justice? I you got a basic picture. You know, to really do it. If I was in my community and I had a little longer, we could break it down even more and get deeper. So, anyways, all right, let's go to it. Graveolens. The folklore, now they're doing tinctures here. Argent Apium Graveolens contains a soporific active principle. Soporific. Man, I looked that up yesterday and I don't know what it was. And it's probably, I have an idea, soporific. I have an idea, but yeah, tending to induce drowsiness or sleep. Oh, okay, I didn't. I was thinking something else. Soporific, So great drowsiness. Why don't they just say that? Anyways, that makes it easier. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to know all these terms. And I'm building my courses and that now, putting major courses together. So I want to put together a sheet with all these terms on it, Old English, whatever, all the terms on it that you can basically have handy to look it up. I'd love to have something where, yeah, anyways. Once I get them all in there, then, it'll be easier. You can always just Google it. That's what I do. I Google the thing and it tells me a definition, and then I know, okay, that's for this, that's for that. this this dyspepsia, 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 dys, dyspepsia. Anyways, that's heartburn. Where dyspnea is breathing. So, you know, um, I don't know if a sheet would make it. If God decides the sheet needs to be in there with all them terms on it, great. If not, you just look it up. Very sleepy, and do I need to know that? Is that important? So, um, superific acting principle. So it can be for sleep if people can't sleep, and it is because it does say that later. Approving of tincture of celery seeds produce the following. So it's just the seeds. Unpleasant feeling in stomach with belching, tasting of celery. Okay, heartburn, spitting up of food, gone feeling at pit of stomach, lasting for hours and partially relieved by eating. So it's affecting the digestive system with heartburn and all that kind of stuff. That's the seeds. Now, the effects of eating and the root during the following day and night, most obstinate retention of urine. So they can't urinate at all. They're really retaining it, which could only be relieved by the catheter. So anybody needing a catheter, you would consider Apium Graveolens, Graveolens, yeah, um, to cause them to be able to urinate right. But now if they got major liver, kidney, and that damage, bladder, and all that, that could be a problem. But if they need a catheter, and you give them Apium Graveolens, that probably could relieve that symptom because it causes it when eaten in that root. On another person, this was observed the inability. So these are two different persons. So you can see how each remedy can act differently for each person. So, you could be given a remedy for the measles and it's working, and someone, oh man, they need this one, they need that one, and these ones need a different remedy. So yeah, it can work that way. So on another person, this was observed inability to sit still or lie still in the bed from feeling of fidgets. So they were fidgety, cannot keep mind from thinking. So obviously they're in stressful situations and they just minds racing, can't sleep, they're fidgety, can't sit still. Dose of Apium Graveolens, you know, could probably help that. Allen mentions profuse discharge of granulating ulcers, which is healing ulcers, intense constriction over sternum. So the sternum's got this restriction, for breathing and all that. Withdrawing feeling through to back. So it goes from front to back. Yesterday's was the same thing with Apis mellifica. I think it was that one, or it was the aphids. It had pain from the apex to the back. So this one is from the sternum to the back. Constriction over sternum, withdrawing, feeling through to back on lying down. Okay, so when they lie down, it's worse, I would imagine, as having been cured by it. Okay, herring cured with Apium graveolens, an old abscess near the umbilicus. So that's that granulating stuff going on. He had an abscess down there, and he cured that with that. So it's good to know those little things because, I love reading the cases. As I read cases, you get a really big indication of what one remedy can actually do for certain situations. So obstinate Apium graveolens, common celery, obstinate retention of urine. That's what you would give it for. Throbbing headache and heartburn produced by celery. So they got the headache and the heartburn together. Swelling throat, face, and hands. So the hands are swelling, the face is swelling, and the throat swelling. Could be almost any disease. If you see that in a person, this is the remedy. That's why we don't look at, oh, this is the flu or this is the whatever, this is rheumatism. This is, it could be rheumatism. It could be the flu. It could be whatever it is. Um, Anyways, rheumatic pain in muscles of neck and sacrum. So there's a lot of undoubtedly rheumatism going on with this. Rash, which is urticaria, they call it, appears and they shudder with stinging, itching. So there's a lot of stinging and itching, like yesterday with the honeybee, which is Apis, with rapid change in location. Pulsatilla has that. They didn't put that in there, but it's always changing. all these, the rash and the pains and the things change location, but this rash is changing location uh, often. Pressure in stomach precedes, now this urticaria, that is the body trying to push out whatever's going on internally. So it's trying to push it out to the skin, and it pushes out here, pushes out over there, down there. It pops out everywhere. So you can see the vital force trying to push it out. You give Apium Graveolens, and guess what? It will push that thing out, relieve it, and be done with it. Pressure in stomach precedes, urtica, okay, yeah, I did that. Okay, pressure in stomach precedes urtica. I need to get a pointer, huh? Proceeds with urtica, toothache, left molar, better by cold water. So if they have, as long as there's cold water there, pain's not there. But once that water gets warm, and there's another medicine like that. I can't think of what it is right now, but that cold water, as long as it's in there, they're fine. As soon as it turns warm, or yeah, I imagine as soon as it turns warm, that's it. It starts aching again. So that's a very interesting symptom. Depressed, energetic. So they're depressed, but they can't sit still. So they're depressed. They have a situation they're upset about, and they just fidget. They can't sit still. That's aconite. All these few of these remedies have that in it. Aconite, rest talks. What's the other ones? Anyways, fidgets cannot keep mind from thinking, so it's just racing thoughts. Sore, sharp, sticking pains in the abdomen, as though the stool was coming. So they feel like their stool is coming, but they get the sticking pains from that. Nausea increases with pain. Okay, so nausea, uh, real sticking, sharp pains, like stabbing pains, basically, and like the stool's coming, and nausea increases with that. Pain in sacrum, more left side, extended to lumbar region. Uh, red, intensely itching blotches. So there's that urtica popping out again on the back. Pain in sacrum and belly with a bellyache. So they got a bellyache with pain towards the back. Can count heartbeats in the chest by hearing and feeling it in the chest. So they can hear it and feel the heartbeat. That's a very interesting. Apium Graveolens. I don't hear that on many medicines. Partial deafness, worse left. So left side, they got ear problems. Painless pulsation, troublesome otorrhea. So that I have it. I have left-eared pains. I know I don't have this I probably don't have this medicine. Yeah, this is like one of the outer way medicines, but I always have that ear thing. And what do I love soups with celery cooking in it and that. Oh, there's my kitty cat at the door. You can't come in yet, man. Eyeballs feel as if uh, oh, eyeballs feel as if they're sunken into sockets. Okay, face nothing, sharp sticking pains. Now I don't know why face has nothing when it says the face, hands, and throat, face, and hands. Listen, kitty cat. I think I got enough time for this. Come on, you coming in? Who's gonna get it? I knew I shouldn't open that. Dang cat. I bet you she wants to eat, man. That's what the whole deal is. All right, sorry about that. But this is what goes on here a lot of times. Headache, eating, itching, sharp sticking pains in both ovary regions, left. Worse, better by bending over. So they want to bend over with these ovarian pains. But by lying on left side with legs flexed, nipples tender. Desire for oranges, desires oatmeal. Headache, better eating. Itching, smarting, everything seems to be better eating. Itching, smarting in the inner canthus of left eye. So there's more eye problems. Eyeballs are sunken and they have smarting and, always there's a sticking, smarting, stinging pain going on with this medicine. No heart, no heart, but you can feel it beating in your chest. Obstinate retention of urine, only relieved by a catheter. You'd use this medicine. Growing pain, right leg during night. So the pain keeps growing deeper and deeper. Burning inside thighs, raw, excoriated inside thighs, red itching blotches on foot and ankles. So there's a lot of skin stuff with this. tickling, dry cough, intense constriction over sternum, withdrawing feeling through back, lying down. So the sternum's got this pain, and it's like a drawing type of pain. Just, but they have a oh yeah, that's from the tickling, dry cough, constriction over sternum. Oh, sorry, not the sternum, the chest. Why don't you just say the chest, dude? Withdrawing feeling through back, lying down. So, yeah, it goes from the front to the back. That's where I got that. Tickling, dry cough, intense constriction. Sorry, my mind was floating there. Throat swollen, dyspnea, tickling in top of windpipe. So, dyspnea, they can't get their breath, their throat is swollen, and tickling on the top of the windpipe causes a cough, wheezing, breathing during the night. So they got this a lot of stuff going on in the lungs. Male nothing, sore spot on tip of tongue, dull sore pain on upper and lower teeth, toothache. Better by holding cold water. That's what I was saying. That's a very interesting symptom. Nostrils stuffed with pain in forehead. So this is like that post nasal stuff. Tough pearl colored discharge. So it's white, pearl white from nostrils. Post nasal drip, tickling in right nostril with watery discharge and sneezing. So the right nostril, and they've got this stuff coming down the post nasal drip. A lot of sinus stuff with celery. Diarrhea, sharp pain in left iliac. So that's the hip region going to right. So the left to the right, this medicine goes. Urgent, well-formed stools by day. Before sharp pains, abdomen directly into rectum. So they have good stools, but they have them sharp pains in the abdomen, and it goes directly into the rectum, these sharp pains. Itching, blotches on the skin, burning, creeping sensation. Profuse discharges from granulated ulcers. So this means that ulcers, when it's granulating, it's healing, but when there's discharge, you got a problem. Urticaria with shuddering. So a skin rash with shuddering. Not fatigued from loss of sleep. Okay, so they feel refreshed, even though unrefreshed, they wake 1 to 3 a.m. But they're not fatigued during the day. They can get up and get going. Unpleasant feeling, belching, tastes like celery, heartburn, spits up food, sore feeling for hours relieved by eating. So a lot of stomach stuff from this, and that was from the root, as we seen. Dark red and swollen throat, soft palate, and fauces are sore. Air rushing down posterior sinuses, hurts back of throat. So they can't handle air going into the throat. It really bothers it. I didn't mean to rush through this. I didn't know how much time I had since I was messing around with that cat and talking about my wife's legs, get myself all worked up. But anyways, let's see, where are we at? Apium Graveolens. Okay. In approving under the direction of W.P. Wessel Heft, a remarkable symptom was a dull ache in sacrum, so the back, lower back. Worse when lying down, better when moving about. So that just sounds like Russ talks right there. Another symptom was sensation as if both eyes were sunken back into their sockets. Now, it's not that they look like it, but they have this feeling like it is, like my eyes are being sucked into my head. Throbbing headache, worse by slightest motion. So that sounds like bryonia. You're laying there, man, you move, it's like, oh crap. Better by rest. So that definitely sounds like bryonia. But now, if you use bryonia, that didn't work, you may end up with Apium Graveolens. Mostly left-sided, so left-sided headache you'd be considering. But that's, going through the case-taking stuff with Robin, Robin stuff. This is like the second or third time, every time you go in, and even in these things that I read, I got 30 minutes to go through it, and there's just, when I'm studying it and getting ready for this morning, man, I have some real revelations, like, wow, that is so interesting. Just like the two guys, I mean, the seed is different than the actual root, but when you combine them, you have those two different aspects in there, and then you had three different people, or you have people affected differently by uh, the medicines, so by the provings basically, and then ultimately different symptomologies can be cured by that celery. So that's why, you could have one that has all that heartburn stuff going on, and it'll be good for that. And the other one could just be having stomach issues with a throbbing headache. That'd be good for that. So, yeah, there's just this medicine is the science of it. I mean, what is the science? It's simple. You're just observing what it will do to people. Once you figure out, and as you see a lot of the time, then tinctures people give, they were basically proving the tincture when they got that person to get heartburn. They gave too much tincture, got heartburn. If you cook celery, chicken noodle soup, or whatever soup you put it in, you don't get overdosed with it, so you're eating it. But if you take the tincture, you get too much of that, you get that, heartburn, or you get that headache, or you get the other thing. So that's why it's so, that's where the, I mean, it was just an observation. That's where the science came in. It was like they observed it. Wow, when I take too much of this, or someone's poisoned by that, and nobody, it takes the observation and putting it together. When someone's poisoned by that, and I don't know how long that's been in existence, because um, let thy food be thy medicine. Like cures like's been around since forever. The hair of the dog that bit you. Give that guy what he needs. There's so many different little sayings, and I just heard them the other day, and I can't remember what they are. But anyways, the dog, hair of the dog that bit you, that's, so the dog bites you, you make a homeopathic medicine out of the dog hair, and so yeah, that's not quite it, but that's basically the idea. If someone gets poisoned by arsenic, we give them arsenicum to overcome that poisoning. Just like celery. They if that person was to take the tincture and drink the whole tincture and get that heartburn and that, you'd give them Apium Graveolens for the heartburn and stuff going on. Now, if it's someone that didn't do that, but just they always have heartburn, they always have this stomach issues, the unpleasant feeling, the belching, the heartburn, they spit up their food, they have a sore feeling relieved by eating, things like that. This would be the medicine you'd consider. So that's the way homeopathic medicine works. Potency, that can be, that's a whole nother ball game. But I found that I got a 30 and a 200. It don't matter a lot of times what I pick. I just pick it out, put it in a bottle of water. They pound it and sip it, pound it and sip it. If it's too strong, I can tell them quit taking so much of it. You know, do that every 15 minutes. That was always my key. I would say the lady that I took the pain away in her wheelchair, that was in her wheelchair, she needed a hip replacement. I know. I gave her a medicine. I said, no, pound it and sip it and take it every 15 minutes. Well, I asked her if she, would you be willing to take an all natural medicine? Yeah, I gave it to her. She pounded it, sipped it every 15 minutes. I don't know. She probably started when I was there, did it until she went to sleep. I said, brush your teeth. After you're done, pound it, give it 15 minutes, and then pound it and sip it again and go to bed. So she did, and the next day she's standing there. She goes, my God, what'd you give me? She said, my pain's 90% gone. I gave you a bottle of water, lady. It's all in your head. I gave her Aeschylus, man, because I know Aeschylus is great for hip stuff. So, anyways, I gave her that, and her husband's a doctor. He's looking through I brought my books in. He's looking through. I said, "This is what I gave her. This is what I looked at. This is, I looked under here, and this, yeah." He's, and I know he was a doctor. I guarantee this was in Squirrel Hill, rich neighborhood. I guarantee. I bet you any money that guy was a doctor. But, anyways, it'd be nice if he would have turned then, and said, "Hey, teach me this. How do I learn this?" I got to show them where to go. But anyways, and now, that's what I'm ready to do. Bring people into a community and show them not all the technical stuff, not all the high stuff, just how to take care of your family. That's all I did it for. I didn't want to be here doing this. I never planned on that. What I planned on was just healing things on my family, and once I took once my kid's swelling went down in his eyes from the allergy to the dog, and never allergic to a dog again. I said I got to study this, and that's when it all started. So it's been an interesting ride, and it's going to be even more interesting because people losing their health insurance, these diseases are coming in, and they say they come in waves. They start in one end of the country or whatever, and they work their way through, and they're gone. And usually what they did was they had a vaccine by the time it was heading out to the country. Oh, look, we took care of it. No, you didn't. It just went away. It'll be back. So I don't know. Vaccines are great. Use them if you're using nothing else, but go to homeopathic medicine and try that. You'd be surprised at and come into my community, man. It's definitely worth the price. It's free for right now. There'll be an expense later, but my goal. That's what my goal was. Not to make money. It was to get this into everybody's hands. When I would mention, hey, why don't you try this homeopathy? And they're like, what's homeopathy? Yeah, yeah, I'm coming, kitty cat. What's homeopathy? So I realized even the people that are into the health stuff, they didn't know a lot about it. And I'm like, even the ones my chiropractor, he had homeopathic medicines, but he still died from a bug bite. Dude, who was I to tell him? I didn't think none of it. You know what you're doing. Lead him. I guarantee you would have took care of that. He would have, he emaciated and all that, just like my karate teacher, man. If I would have gave him lead him, they would have cleared right up. So, all right, I'm a minute over. That is morning medicine. You can age, but you don't have to get old. Oh, Friday, baby.